Running Aces Casino and Racetrack is the Twin Cities' premier choice for exciting entertainment, 24/7 gaming and dining, monthly comedy shows, and $1 blackjack with no commission or ante, making it the most player-friendly casino around. Trout Air Tavern at Running Aces offers Minnesota-inspired handcrafted dishes with locally sourced ingredients and the trout that made the area famous. Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, 25 minutes north of downtown. Visit runaces.com. Running Aces, your night out is waiting.
Twins clinging to a 1-0 lead, but there are two runners aboard after a bloop single and a hit batsman. The tying run is at second base. And let me tell you, we're going to watch one more pitch before bringing in Derek Wetmore just to see what happens here. We'll keep an eye on this. Oh, he's nibbling. Derek, okay, let's say this holds and Rodney does get his 16th straight save and Logan Morrison becomes the hero with a solo home run, I believe in the 6th or the 7th. Is this a pivotal victory for the Minnesota Twins?
Gosh.
Avoiding the sweep to the lowly Sox.
No, I mean, losing 2 to the White Sox is a bad look at this point in the season. This is the point, Brian, where the Twins really could use a run, and that's stating the obvious.
We've been saying that for 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly right. And just especially in light of GM Thad Levine's comments to MLB.com over the weekend, I believe it was. This is kind of put up or shut up time. Like, everyone talks about the trade deadline. It's a month away. You got some time to go on a little hot streak here, maybe catch up with the Indians. But no, you don't. You kind of have to have already been going, because now you're, 8.5? I don't know what it'll be after this half inning here. That's a pretty big margin to overcome. And Levine's point over the weekend, Brian, if you read the column on MLB.com by Mark Feinsand, it was the idea was, we've got 4 weeks to the trade deadline, but
you kind of are who you are.
Yeah, we are who we are, and with however many sellers there are a bunch of sellers that knew they were sellers before the season started. So now you're competing in a pretty crowded marketplace.
A lot of tanking,
and you're talking to contending teams that are looking to add pieces. Well, if you wait till July 31st, maybe they've already added their middle of the order power or their mid-rotation starter. So Levine's point, I think, was just like, maybe there's some incentive to act quickly here at this year's trade deadline.
Well, it was kind of refreshing to hear a front office leader actually speak kind of bluntly like that. And Levine's been known to do that. He doesn't pull any punches.
I think that there was a certain amount of trial balloon to that of, hey, let's see what the team does. How do they react to this if they win 9 in a row?
They won in spite of us last year when we sold off, right?
Yeah. Hey, why don't we try to sink a harpoon in their chest and just see what happens? Well, now, I think they're a little bit further behind the 8 ball this year than they were last year. This is going to be a tough mountain to climb for the Twins.
Now with both runners moving, double steal. The winning run is now at second. The tying run's on at third. The count is full.
This is a high wire act
to Mr. Tilson, and he's chopping away.
This is what we've come to expect from Fernando Rodney, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, he hasn't had one of these dramatic innings in a while, has he?
Yeah, but this is sort of his signature. 2 runners on, traffic, 1-run game, and then he's either going to give up the win or strike the next guy out on 3 pitches, give him no chance.
This does smell like walk-off, doesn't it? Oh, my goodness. Another payoff pitch coming up with Palka on deck. 2 outs. Oh, forlorn-looking Twins fan in the stands.
Are you doing your best Royce impersonation of doing the play-by-play of a game?
Yeah, it is. Doing play-by-play. Am I even allowed to do this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, hold on. Another foul ball. It's a battle. We'll update you on what happens on that. I wanted to ask a little bit. You mentioned, okay, let's say the Twins do sell off. There seems to be 3 obvious guys that are all on 1-year deals and maybe on the move. Lance Lynn, Logan Morrison, and Fernando Rodney. Who's the most likely to get moved and why?
Well, I think
I would say
Lynn.
Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson should be on that list. You know who else should be on that list? Is Brian Dozier, Eduardo Escobar.
Yeah, I was thinking the 1-year contract guys.
Sure.
But yes, there's no limit to who can get moved, right?
Yes. Sell anything that's not nailed down, I think, is the old catchphrase. And now, I wouldn't advocate that for the Twins, Brian, for the obvious reason that they felt like they were going to be a playoff contender this year, which means they got a lot of good players. They really like where they're at in terms of the talent on their roster. Clearly, this year has not gone the way that they were hoping that it would go. And so you have this sort of high wire act. You've got to walk the line between bases
loaded.
So what you're saying is they just need some tweaks.
No.
As the Wild would do, right?
No, they're more than a few tweaks away, and I don't think they'll lie to your face and say that was the case. But I do think that there's a better team here than what their record would indicate. And if you have Jorge Polanco, if you had Ervin Santana,
here's the list.
I know there's a lot of ifs, and we could go a half dozen long at least.
But in fairness, we have not had a true examination of what this roster could be. They have not fielded their everyday roster at all this season.
But you know what we've seen too with this collection is the complete and utter lack of fire against teams that they clearly are better than. Case in point,
the Chicago
this series,
White Sox.
Texas over the weekend.
Well, but how many teams are they clearly better than? I'd push you back on that with that,
But my point is they seem to get up for a series against the Red Sox and when Cleveland's in town. And then they just go into the tank against teams that they, on paper, should be better than.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think if you're the Twins, you've got to figure out, hey, how good are we actually? And how quickly could we turn this around? Because I really think this could be a quick turnaround. I think you're looking at a competitive team in 2019, even if the ship has sailed on this season. Now, how many of those guys do you sell? If it's the one-year guys that you're talking about, Brian, I think those make a lot of sense. I think if Brian Dozier's not going to be back, maybe you try to figure out if you can get something for him. But how marketable is he
right now? I mean, he should be getting hot. He hasn't gotten hot.
Fair question. But he's notorious for those second-half surges. And over the past 5 years, he's been the Twins' best player, clearly one of the best power-hitting middle infielders in baseball. It's not going great for him so far this season, but as I said, he's had multiple years here where he's really caught fire in the second half. So.
All right, let's go down the laundry list that's been there for a long time. What's the latest on Buxton and when might he return?
Yeah, he's playing in AAA. The broken toe is allegedly healed, and so he's healthy and on a rehab assignment. I think that it could get down to a point, Brian, where they have to decide, do we take him on the roster or do we use an option on him and keep him down to AAA Rochester to keep working on his swing? That's going to be, to me, the bigger issue. Not just the toe health.
Oh, Fernando Rodney just walked in the tying run. Keep going.
Not just the toe health for Buxton, but clearly he had some other issues that were plaguing him when he was up here.
Couldn't hit a fastball.
We can blame the toe as much as we want to, but I think the contact problems that Buxton showed, that's going to be a continuing problem unless he can get that curb. So you figure out what he can do in AAA Rochester. If he fixes his swing, maybe he comes back and maybe as that star player that we saw last year. That's going to be question 1A for the rest of the season for the Twins.
What are we hearing about Miguel Sano roasting down in Fort Myers?
It's quiet. He's playing not every day, but in the days that he is playing, he's just facing inferior competition. So I don't look too much at the batting line. I don't really care what he's doing too much, provided he doesn't strike out 4 times in 4 plate appearances. I care more about how is he approaching this challenge that the Twins have given him? Is he taking his conditioning seriously? All those,
and we
kinds
don't
of
know
things.
that because nobody's got eyes down there.
Nope. I haven't. I looked up flights for Fort Myers round trip, but
this time of year should be fairly cheap.
You would think so.
Why don't you take the train?
Yeah. Does Amtrak have a station in Southwest Florida?
You'll be there by the trade deadline.
Right. I am on a train.
That's right.
All right, Jorge Polanco finally is eligible to return. I think it's Monday in Milwaukee, July 2nd. Is that Monday, the July 2nd?
I don't remember what day of the week, but the Milwaukee series.
Yes.
You've got it right.
Okay, of course, he's been gone 80 games because of his steroid suspension. Is there a chance he might go on the DL because of his finger and his infection and whatnot, or is he coming back strong from that?
Yeah, I think it's more likely that the Twins will activate him. They're going to have to make a decision. Hey, is this a disabled list guy? They're out of options with Polanco, so they can't go that route the same they could with Buxton. But I think that the fact that he played DH, even with the finger, and then now I heard he's going up to AAA Rochester and playing some shortstop. That's a great sign for the Twins. It's going to be
including a doubleheader, I think, too.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be like an abbreviated spring training for him, so it's really, you got to go. I mean, it's not a situation where he's going to have 4 or 5 weeks to get used to the speed of play. This is going to be a lot of pressure for Polanco. He's going to have to prove in the second half of the season that he's a guy worth sticking with, and he's going to have to do it really without the benefit of spring training. So he's
got some splaining to do, right, on the field.
And just image rehabilitation, right? I mean, like Ervin Santana got popped, and maybe you forgive him eventually, but it's definitely something that sticks with you throughout your career, and now Polanco's going to have to put that in his rearview mirror. I'm curious to see how he reacts without a spring training. If I was the Twins, I'd want him up in the lineup as soon as I possibly could.
Still 2 outs, 2 count to Mancata. It is now 1-1 here in the bottom of the ninth. Lastly, real quick, will Ervin Santana pitch again, and if so, when?
Fair question. I do wonder.
Thank God we're going to extra.
I was going to say
free baseball.
If Murph's going to call the 10th inning, I might have to get out of here for that.
What will end first? Patrick's trip on the train or this ball game?
That's a good question.
Sorry, I interrupted.
It's a wash, I think.
No, just to answer the Ervin Santana question, I assume that he will pitch again this year, Brian. When is an open question. You've pretty much shot any chance that you would have to get anything for him at the trade deadline in the final year of his contract. So now it's more about what does he give you down the stretch? And I don't know. I'd have to wait and see the fastball velocity come back. I'd have to see the slider for me to really think he's one of the 5 best starters they have. But boy, that's one of those pieces of news that you saw at the beginning of the season and thought, this
early
season,
May, what are they talking about?
Yeah, this season might not go as planned for the Minnesota Twins.
It just seems like spinning their wheels. They've been spinning their wheels for 3 months.
And that was the first.
Yeah.
That was over the winter. That was Polanco.
February 6th, I believe, before they even went down to spring training.
Yeah, he's going to miss the start of the season, and
but
apparently
he should
a lot
be
more
back
than
in
that.
6 weeks. Okay, well, here we are 4 months later. Derek, thanks for stopping in and doing this and helping us out.
Yeah.
And again, Twins going into the 10th after Rodney, after 2 outs, yields the tying run, and the drama continues. This is Murphy in for Royce. We'll be back on 1500 ESPN.
Hey listeners, this college football season, remember that a little exaggeration makes every story more interesante. Like Dos Equis, the only beer Steve Spurrier stopped for every time the crowd carried him off the field. But don't take it from us. Take it from the head ball coach himself, who once told a reporter, "I love winning, but nothing hits the spot like a post-game Dos Equis while sitting atop a fan caravan." But most importantly, remember to keep it interessante this college football season with Dos Equis, the official beer sponsor of the College Football Playoff.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. The FBI investigation of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh may wrap up today, we're told. But Christine Blasey Ford, who accuses him of sexual assault, apparently has not been interviewed, nor has he. Does that worry key Republican Senator Jeff Flake?
Well, we have the statement of Dr. Ford, and then we have hours of testimony. So, frankly, when we talked about an FBI investigation, it was to follow up leads that might corroborate her account. So I'm not troubled by that.
Standing next to Senator Flake on Capitol Hill, his friend, Democratic Senator Chris Coons, for whom the speed of the investigation raises questions.
That would concern me. I hope the FBI has been allowed to follow all the reasonable leads from the credible allegations that were before the committee last week. And I know that puts them under a lot of pressure, but they've got the resources to do it.
He and Senator Flake were on the Today Show this morning. I'm Rita Foley.